Hi, Chris. I hope you're doing well today. So, as you know, we have been doing a lot of reading in our classroom lately, and I actually just found a new strategy that's going to help us become better readers, and it's called Juggle All Three Balls. So, before we get started, I just want to make sure that you are set up for success. So, if you don't already, could you please get out all the materials that you're going to need for today? I already sent them to your mom, but just to remind you, you're going to need the Juggle All Three Balls visual that I have made for you. Mine might look a little different than yours because mine printed out in black and white, but that's okay. You should have a blue circle right here, a yellow circle right here, and a green circle right there. Also, you should have opened on your iPad the Raz Kids book called The Box. And that's a book that I specifically chose out for you because I think you're really going to like it. It's about a little girl who goes on an adventure. So if you don't already have those materials out, you can pause this video and come back when you have everything opened up. So, as we know, reading can be tricky sometimes for everybody because readers don't only do one thing when they get to a word that they don't know. Good readers actually do three things, and that's what we're going to learn about today with our strategy. So, good readers juggle three balls. So, we're going to use our imagination and pretend that these circles right here are balls. So, I'm going to refer to them as balls instead of circles. Okay, so the first ball that we ask ourselves as good readers when we get to a word that we don't know is, and it says it right here, I wrote it out for you. Does that sound right? Hmm. So good readers think about that to themselves. And I put this little picture here. You can pretend it's you can pretend it's me, but just pretend that that's a good reader. That's what a good reader does. Also, good readers ask themselves, and it says it right here, does that look right? So we're going to think about that to ourselves as well as we're reading. And then lastly, we also think about, it says it right here in the little circle in the ball. It says, does that make sense? Hmm. So we're going to think about these three things. We're going to juggle these three balls in our head as we're reading. And that's what good readers do because it makes us look closer at the words and it helps us if we make any silly mistakes when we're reading because we all do it. I even do it. It's okay. But just knowing that we have a strategy to help us when we do come to a word that we don't know. So, first, I am going to show you how this strategy looks as we're reading the box, and then we're going to practice it together eventually. So, let me share my screen with you. Okay, so I have the box opened up right here. I am just going to make this full screen, and I'm also going to make my box where you see me a little bit bigger so you can see me more clearly. Okay, so the box. The box. All right, so some words to know: anywhere, backyard, climb, mountains, ocean, and special. So as we know, Raz Kids usually put some words to know because these are words that usually come up in the reading. So we'll be listening for those words. So I'm going to show you how to juggle all three balls when we're reading. All right, so now we're on page 3. You should be on page 3 of the book, The Box, and also have this next to you because we're going to refer to this. So, I climb into my backyard box. Where do I want to go today? Hmm. So, I don't know if you noticed, but I struggled a little bit on this word right here. And I said it was want. But to double check, even if I think it's correct, I'm going to juggle all three balls right here. So I'm going to ask myself, does that sound right? W, w, uh, n, want. Yeah, everything checks out. I'm going to ask myself, this ball right here, does that look right? I would say yes, because we know w is a W sound and t is a T sound. And then lastly, I'm going to ask myself, does that make sense? So I'm going to read the sentence again just to make sure that everything makes sense. Where do I want to go today? Yes, everything makes sense. So, because we juggled all three balls, we made sure that everything we read was correct. So, juggling all three balls doesn't only happen when we get to a word that we don't know. Sometimes we use this strategy when we want to double check and make sure that a word we read is correct. So, let's see where this little girl wants to go today. So now we're on page 4, okay? I'm going to read again. I I go down the street. I go down the street. I go down the street. Hmm. Okay. Let's let's try juggling all three balls again. So, something is telling me that it does not sound right. Stret. Stret? I have never heard of that word before. Stret. Hmm. And also, it looking at this ball right here doesn't make sense. I don't think it makes sense because I don't know what stret means. I go down I go down the street. I don't know what that means. So let's try this ball right here. Does it look right? I go down the Oh. So because I'm looking at the word street, I see there's an S T R E E T. Oh, so from what we know from class, two E's together actually make a long E sound, and long vowels say their own name. So actually, two E's together say E. Hmm. So I am going to look at this word again and say it with E, the E sound. St, r, eat. Okay, so let's juggle all our three balls again and see if this makes sense. So now that I know that this word is street, I'm going to read the sentence again. I go down the street. Okay, so because I juggled all three balls, I can now check again. Does that sound right? I think it sounds right now. I know it sounds right. Does it look right? Yes, because there's two E's. We know two E's make an E sound. And does it make sense? It makes much more sense now. The story has a lot more meaning because I know the word street. I didn't know what stret was. It made me confused about the story. And also double checking my work. Now that I'm looking at the illustration on the page, I can see that they are going down the street. So everything checks out. It's a good thing that I juggled all three balls, or I would have been really confused. Okay, let's go to the next page. Let's see where they go now. Okay, so now we're on page 5. I'm going to read it again. I go through through the hmm, I go through the grass. I go through the grass. I go through the grass. Okay, so let's remind ourselves to juggle all three balls just to correct our work. So I go through the grass. Based on the picture, I think it makes sense, but let's check. So we're going to ask ourselves, does that sound right? I go through the grass. It sounds right. We're going to ask ourselves, does that make sense? Juggling the green ball right here. It makes sense. And ask ourselves, does that look right? Hmm. G- gr- Uh-oh. I see that this word right here, I said, I go through the grass. But I see the first letter in this word starts with a P. That makes a P sound. Also, I see at the end that there's a K, and that makes a K sound. Hmm. So this word is actually park. Oh. So what I did is I only looked at the illustration and I didn't look very closely at the words on the page. So I messed up the last word. And that's not what the author wanted me to read. They wanted me to read, I go through the park. So even though pictures on a page can tell us a lot about a story, it doesn't always mean that we can just make up words because of what we see on the page. We need to really focus on the words that the author wrote for us. So, by juggling all three balls, I was able to correct my mistake because I was able to see. I really juggled that middle ball right here, the yellow one, and I was able to see that the word park and grass are not anything alike. And I corrected my mistake. So, for practice together, we are going to read the rest of this book and we're going to both work together to juggle all three balls to make sure we are accurately reading and also to go back and fix any silly mistakes. See, I even made some mistakes when reading this book, so it's no problem. And luckily now we have learned a strategy to help us when we have made those mistakes. So when I see you tomorrow, we will read the rest of this book and juggling all three balls together. Okay, good work today, Chris. Have a good one.